What's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is Griever back here, bringing you guys the latest behind-the-bar reviews for One Piece! One Piece chapter 973. Let's get underway, because in all honesty, ladies and gentlemen, gonna have to say I'm working 6 days a week for the foreseeable future, and my video content is going to be a haphazard schedule and not a whole lot of time for editing and really going over any minor details for any of my reviews and content. I apologize for that. I am working on getting a better schedule for that. But that being said, let's just get into this, because there are so many people. Like, the Reverie just happened this weekend, and I haven't managed to rewatch the whole thing, but I managed to watch quite a bit of it, or listen, I should say, to quite a bit of the Reverie. For those of you who don't know, the Reverie is not just in One Piece, it's something hosted on YouTube by the big One Piece YouTubers. You know, you have Tekking, King of Lightning, Roger Space, all of them are in that sort of bracket of people. Zoro Fanboy, and the Red Force podcast, and they all just basically go and talk all One Piece, you know, it's usually hosted about two times a year, something like that. Anyway, this was the 7th one, and it was really well. It was really good, and I'm not One Pieced out, but I feel like there is not a single new idea or point that I can contribute as of this chapter. I think it's been covered by everybody else, especially by the Reverie itself. There was information here. Like, a lot of people, of course, they go on the Raws and stuff. Now, I try to wait for the Viz translation as best I can without being spoiled. Sometimes that doesn't work. Sometimes it does. But this chapter itself, there are a few things I would like to talk about. Number one, we still don't know the reason. Why? Because what we get here is a little bit of flashback with Odin and, you know, still on Roger. So we see Roger and Rayleigh one last time at the beginning of the chapter, you know, hanging out and being like, Momonosuke, look, it's a Simba moment for you, and that kind of thing. Then we jump back into the future a little bit. I guess this is when Odin was dancing or some such at the time, and pretty much they were all just talking about, oh, Hiyori, you play that instrument so well, and that kind of thing, right? You should play that at my funeral. And it's like, you know, and so there were some comedic moments and stuff there as well. And then we jump back into the present of the flashback, where Kinemon and Shinobu and Kiku, they're all running away, Inu and Nekomamushi. Now, Inuyasha and Nekomamushi actually get caught by one of those big giant things that we've seen in silhouette before when Scratchman and Pooh showed up at, you know, Wano, and we're trying to go like, okay, well, what are these things, right? And so they showed up, and one of them appears to be in the background and actually captured them, because of course, Nekomamushi was basically like goading Orochi and Kaido. Whether that actually had a true effect on the outcome, I really doubt it. But Inuyasha basically blames Nekomamushi for this. The whole classic cats and dogs fight thing, we now see a deeper meaning. It appears that this is where it all truly started. They might have had some animosity towards each other before, but now this is where it all came down. Because Inuyasha blames Nekomamushi for goading them into shooting Odin, and Nekomamushi basically thinks that Inuyasha could possibly be the spy that Kaido sent, and of course that would insult Inuyasha. So we're sort of seeing that they get captured as they start fleeing. Shinobu asks to be one of the vassals, even though she wasn't formally asked by Odin or whatever, and it's basically like, yep, you're basically, none of us are true family by blood. We're all just part of the Kazuki clan as a whole because we believe in it. So if you believe in it, you're good to go, sort of idea. And this is the part where I just have to question, because basically we see the scene that I've been rereading One Piece recently when I have the time, and Momonosuke remembers the scene where what's your name, boy, sort of idea, and remembers the hand on his throat by Kaido. And we see that scene here where we finally see that in full, where Kaido's standing there, still skipping leg day, it seems, and he's holding Momonosuke over the edge of the castle. And he's just like, what's your name? You have some foolish dream. You're much younger than I thought. He was worried, I guess, to a point that the son of Odin, when he probably heard about the children of Odin, he was maybe thinking that Momonosuke, he heard about all the tales of Odin. We know that from this flashback. Kaido knew all about what Odin did by the age of 1, by the age of 5, by the age of 8, right? Momonosuke does not exactly take after his father in that way. He's not a crazy powerhouse as a toddler. So Kaido, fearing this to an extent, for lack of a better term, fearing this, went up and basically just wanted to make sure that that the Kazuki clan didn't have another ace in the hole outside of Odin himself. And at this point, Kaido didn't think the boy was worth killing. He's just a brat. Threw him back into the castle and basically transformed into a dragon and just burned the whole castle to the ground and everybody in it. I'm getting out of here, right? This is where I still don't understand. Kinemon, everybody shows back up at the castle. They talk about the whole 20 years thing. We see the shot without them in silhouette anymore. Momonosuke, Hiyori, and Lady Toki. It says, like, I have to tell you all something. What? 20 years? Blah, blah, blah. Here's the thing. A lot of people are going to be talking about the Odin part of this, where Toki is, of course, she gives her prophecy and stuff as she has arrows in her, or did she? I'm kind of missing that. Did she get shot as she stood up there, or was she already shot and bleeding? I must have missed that, and as I said, I'm kind of lacking on time to be checking every detail as I do these reviews, but that's not the point I want to focus on, which a lot of reviewers focused on. I want to focus on the fact that all of a sudden Kawamatsu is fleeing down the river because everybody's blocking the exits to the castle. Don't let anybody escape. And they don't escape through the main entrances. Of course, Kawamatsu, being a fishman, is able to swim underwater and drags Hiyori with him. We don't see the reason why, once again. That has been a big question on a lot of people's minds. Why keep Hiyori here, and why only send Momonosuke? Why not send everybody? Why not keep a couple retainers here that were there, which she did, but send everybody? Like, why not send Shinobu? Why not send Hiyori? At the very least, why not send Hiyori and Momonosuke at the same time? Was it a gamble? Was it a kind of, okay, I'm going to send them 20 years in the future, but I want to increase our odds? I at the very least would have liked to just see the line of dialogue, because why didn't she send Hiyori into the future to make sure she was safe? Kawamatsu might be a powerful dude in his own right, but at this point, the country has fallen. Everybody's looking to slaughter her daughter, Right now might not be the best time to think about, basically playing a dice game with your children's lives, being like, I'll increase my odds, I'll roll 3 dice, and if one of them is shitty, oh well, that seems a little extreme. So, I just wish we had a line of dialogue, because it goes from, 20 years in the future came on to all of a sudden Kawamatsu fleeing with Hiyori. And we don't get Toki's insight. We get a whole monologue with her thinking about flashbacks and how she comes up with this prophecy. But where is the line that tells me why send one child and not the other? Why not both? And why Momonosuke over Hiyori? And why? I just really want to know. I would like to have known, because that still kind of bothers me to this day, what her reasoning was. I don't even care if it's bad reasoning. I don't care if it's the reasoning of, well, in case 20 years from now, in case you all meet disaster and fail, we still kind of have a chance with another member of the Kazuki clan still alive that grows up to that point and knows how to hide and maybe eventually meets up with her brother. I don't know, I just would have liked to know the reasoning, regardless whether we thought it was good reasoning or not. The other thing is, we see when she's fleeing the castle to go, make the big grand speech, and she either, once again, I didn't really check to see, was she previously shot with 2 arrows in the side, or did that happen as she stood there yelling her prophecy that everybody heard, and that the Kazuki clan will be back in 20 years' time? And why 20 years? Because Odin told her to do 20 years. Odin basically said, you are from 800 years. It's funny because, once again, the whole Joy Boy thing, someone from 800 years, sort of idea. sort of coming back, but clearly we don't know all the details. This could be left up in the translation a little bit here, but this is the official Viz, not that they can't get anything wrong. But once again, the whole, why doesn't Odin suspect his wife to be that Joy Boy person? Joy Boy is more of a title than anything else now, than one singular person. Or is it a singular person, and is that why Odin knows it can't be Toki? Because Toki is literally from the age that Joy Boy is supposed to arrive from and figure everything out. Odin doesn't seem to suspect his wife, so there's more details we do not know about this, but does know you did come from 800 years and you were looking for a certain day. But if you jump exactly 20 years from now, exactly, roughly, but 20 years from now, that's when it's all going to go down. So whatever they found on Laugh-Tale told them the future. Whatever they found on Laugh-Tale clearly marked the present storyline in some way to all the members of the Roger Pirates. They know when things are going to go down. They know what they have to do in preparation for that. And that's likely why, once again, why didn't any of the Roger Pirates become the Pirate King after Roger? You can't convince me that the Dark King himself could not have kept the flame alive, taken some new recruits under his banner, and said, the Roger Pirates will never be gone, as I, Rayleigh, Dark King Silvers Rayleigh, am now declared the Pirate King. At that time, who would have stood a challenge to Rayleigh? In the same way that nobody could touch the candle of Roger. Whitebeard didn't want the title, and those are your two answers, right? So there's clearly a reason on Laugh-Tale that we still aren't aware of, and this is what a lot of reviewers went over and came up with different theories. What is this 20 years? How do they know about this Great War? What is in Laugh-Tale to tell them the truth? And that's the big question on everybody's mind for this chapter. Now, the rest of the chapter, once again, this is where this would be a great reveal, but the anime, you kind of jumped the gun a little bit. Now, one thing I do have to say about this chapter, since the last chapter was misleading in that way of saying basically we're jumping back sort of idea, and then we didn't this chapter, but the pacing has jumped quite a bit. We went, okay, boom, Odin's execution. Okay, boom, Kinemon, and everybody shows up, and Lady Toki. Kaido burns down the palace. Toki sends him into the future. Hiyori got away. Here's Kiyoshiro. Here's Denjiro. Here's Ashura Doji. Here's everybody. Orochi is shivering in fear that he can't get his goddamn bath hot enough to shake the fear, the cold fear that the Kazuki clan is going to come back and take away Orochi and all my power, and all that kind of jazz, right? So, here's what I want to bring up, is once again, I don't actually follow the One Piece anime. I watched the 4Kids dub when I was a kid, when I was growing up, right? Like a lot of other people with the Fox Kids, the Fox Box, when things like, when it was going beyond just Yu-Gi-Oh! And Digimon and Pokemon and Sailor Moon and Dragon Ball Z. Those were the 5 major ones. When we started getting adaptations for Bleach, Death Note, Full Metal Alchemist, things like that, One Piece 4Kids was one of them. And I started to watch that along with all these other ones. I haven't watched the anime in a long time. However, that's because I think the manga is fantastic and it's a lot to catch up on. However, I do have a Twitter. I do have a Discord. And when a lot of people, and of course I follow many YouTubers on here who make theory videos, you can count it as a spoiler, but even if you don't watch the anime, if you're on YouTube or Twitter at all, you kind of know this problem. The anime opening, I don't know which one it was, but it showed Ashura Doji and Kiyoshiro. It showed all the other scabbards, and then Kiyoshiro with Ashura Doji, the 2 missing ones. Kawamatsu was accounted for. So, Kiyoshiro has a connection to Ashura Doji. It's Denjiro. See, this is where, and he's also the Midnight Ox Boy, or the Stroke of 3 a.m. boy, or whatever it is. The thief, the Robin Hood. And that ties well back into his character. I'm glad that both these mysteries are solved. I'm glad it proves, okay, a lot of people's theories were right, but the problem is that it became lackluster because of the anime. I can't believe that Oda would have approved this, so maybe they went ahead and did this, and then Oda kind of went, I wish you kind of hadn't. So clearly somebody knew in the anime department and maybe took liberty because Oda didn't specifically say not to. I can't see Oda allowing that to be the case. That would be like in an anime opening if we saw the death of Whitebeard before the death of Whitebeard. Or we saw Blackbeard holding 2 devil fruits. Or Shanks showing up at Marineford. Any of these things would be massive spoilers that you just would not show until after Ace's death. Something, right? You wouldn't show that. You can show a fight because usually that's left up to interpretation. Sanji and Kizaru are probably, maybe eventually will get into a fight, but not anytime soon like that one anime opening showed. And a lot of people put credit on that. But that's because things like this happen. You can put credit in anime openings sometimes because look at this. This is what happened. This reveal was taken away even though a lot of people theorized it before. It really got ruined by the anime. By that anime opening. And that really, really sucks because the whole Denjiro, who fought against a demon of anger and just could not take. Remember, he didn't get sent, with Kinemon and stuff, which would have been very interesting actually, but he did not get sent with some of the scabbards. He ran off just like a lot of the other ones, and he found a shrine, and it might even be the same shrine that Hiyori and Zoro and everybody were resting in or something. I don't know. But either way, he found the shrine and he just screamed to the heavens. He was the same way Sabo and Luffy were about Ace's death, just constantly screaming and bashing himself and beating himself. Just can't handling what has just gone down, what has just transpired, and how everything went so wrong. And at this point, it actually contorted his face. His face had been... You ever hear that old wives' tale of if you keep making that like to little kids? Like if you're like, and stuff like that, or stuff to your siblings or whatever, and parents and grandparents will tell you, if you keep making that face, it'll stay permanent like that, or something similar. Oda took that a little literally here. To the point that his face contorted in such grief and anger that it actually permanently warped his face, Joker-esque style, without the chemicals, and it actually warped his face to that point of that angry, scowling look on his face. Like the eyes and everything changed. And it's disturbing to see like how much... We don't get a whole lot on Denjiro. Even with this flashback, Oda, for all intents and purposes, a lot of people have said, like, they don't care about it or it's gone on too long or such, but those same people will also complain about character progression and development in One Piece. Well, Denjiro right here, this is a powerful moment, but we still don't know a whole lot about him. Like, how much he clearly must have loved Odin and how much, they all loved Odin, but to go this far, to scream to the heavens. We saw how everyone took it. Kawamatsu took it differently. Inurashi, Nekomamushi, Kanemo, everyone took it differently. But at this point, Denjiro seems to have taken it the literal hardest, to the point that he warped his own face in anger. And it's quite sad. We didn't get enough time with Denjiro to see the interaction and his loyalty and his faith that the Kozuki clan would always stay on top, or whatever he believed. We don't really know enough about this mystery man. Of course, we might get a lot later. Oda tends to do that a lot. As I said, I'm rereading One Piece, and I find that it's always beginning of battle and halfway through a final battle. That's when we get the flashback. That's when we get the backstory. That's when we get all the connections, even though we've had the hints up to that point. Law's backstory. He's in the middle of the final part in the fight against Doflamingo. We've had hints and theories and little name drops here and hints there, and this, that, and the other thing reveals throughout 2 arcs. And then it's not until the final battle of that second arc, one of the longest arcs in One Piece, that it all comes back. So with Kuroshiro being a major player right now in this arc, it'll be very interesting to see when it's finally revealed and he comes out. Like, what is he really waiting for? I don't know. Kuroshiro has clearly had the opportunity, since the barrier fruit guy is clearly dead. And so is, Higurashi, so there's no chance of a body double or such. Kuroshiro has had multiple opportunities to slice and dice. The fact of the matter is he stopped Zoro from killing Orochi in the crowd after Yasue's execution. What is the reason for this? What has happened to Kiyoshiro? What is he truly waiting for? There are so many questions involving this. And we see for the rest of the chapter how he became the mad boss and everything, and nobody could even recognize him from his former self. Hiyori, of course, we know, escapes from Kawamatsu one day and is found by the people in the royal capital. And thankfully, it's Kiyoshiro who she's brought before. He recognizes her instantly, even though nobody else does, and bows down to her in a private room and basically says, I'm Denjiro, Your Majesty. Thank God you're alive. Hiyori instantly believes him, and he's like, okay, here's the deal. You are going to hide my identity from even our allies. Even if you find, another scabbard or whatever, Kawamatsu, whoever, you cannot tell them that I am Denjiro. We are going to keep this hidden for the sake of this country. Once again, what's his plan? And he says, you will go by another name. You will be, Komurosaki and all this stuff. And this is how we lead into the present storyline. So this chapter did a good job of jumping the pacing around. We're getting closer and closer and closer. I don't really see anything else left in the flashback. We have all the moments that were hinted at. As I said, I freshly reread One Piece over these past few weeks in my mind. I'm into the Doflamingo Dressrosa fight right now, but I've had enough from the Punk Hazard and the Dressrosa and the hints and stuff that I think we have almost all our bases covered. There's no event that we were hinted at or saw a silhouette of that now hasn't been shown in this flashback as far as I can remember. So I really think that now we might have half a chapter, but I think that this is truly, even though last chapter did say in the Viz translation we're jumping back to the present, we didn't really, but now I think we are. Hiyori has grown up at the last panel, back to being Komurosaki. We know who Kiyoshiro is. Everyone's been sent to the future. We know the events that transpired after that. There's nothing really left for them to show in this flashback. Toki is dead. Kaido is taken over. Orochi is afraid. And that's that. So we know the position of all the scabbards and stuff. It's time to jump back. Oda is going to let us jump back here. I know he is. This is going to be really great. I can't wait. I hope to have a better, hold on my schedule so I can really delve deep into the next chapter because I'm sure it's going to be action-packed. I'm sure there's going to be a lot to unpack and talk about. So stay tuned for that, ladies and gentlemen. This has been Griever with your Behind the Bar reviews for chapter 973 of the greatness that is One Piece. Like, comment, and subscribe as always. Don't forget to join my Discord if you guys want to know every single time I drop a video. You can also hit the bell notification on YouTube if you want to know as well. Drink responsibly, I guess, as always, and have a wonderful start to the next week. And we'll see you next time for chapter 974. See you next time, guys.